Well, if you've watched any of the international play involving Joel Embiid, it seems like, for a lot of people, he doesn't know how to play basketball. And since that is the case, he should come off the bench. Welcome to the PHLY Sixers podcast alongside Derek Bodner, Kyle Neubeck. I'm Devon Givens on a Monday, the day after the Team USA squad starts their group play, and they come away with a big victory, 110-84 over Nikola Jokic and the Serbian team. Yet, Joel Embiid, again, is the topic of discussion for many, many viewers. And look, some of it is because they just simply don't like him anyway. And now that he goes out there and doesn't play all that well, they want him to take a seat. They didn't want him on the team in the first place. Some people did not understand why he was being booed by the French crowd. Many understand now why that is, in fact, the case. And that's where we are right now with Joel Embiid. He finished the game on Sunday playing and starting 11 minutes and 21 seconds, finished with 4 points, 2 rebounds, 3 personal fouls, and he also added 0 assists in the game. He was the only one with a minus in the plus-minus of the box score, and he was 2 for 5 from the floor and 0 for 3 from the free throw line. So not a great pool debut for Joel Embiid. We've talked about the showcase games where we felt like he was getting criticized a little bit too much because, again, he's Joel Embiid and people like to target Joel Embiid. And he played a little bit better. Game 1 here in the group play once again against Serbia, not so good. We discussed how Steve Kerr has mentioned Steph Curry, LeBron James, and Joel Embiid are going to remain in the starting lineup as their trio and surround them with others. Kevin Durant also came back, played a fantastic game. And now, though, even after a blowout win, people say he just simply does not belong. Derek, you watched the game. You saw it. We're discussing it. Maybe not his best performance, but do you think it warrants him coming off the bench and taking a seat?
So it is amazing that after a 26-point win over one of the strongest contenders for the gold medal out there, a lot of the conversation, not just about the show, because obviously we're going to focus on Embiid because we cover Embiid, but there's just a disproportionate amount of talk about his struggles. And a lot of it does come down to
about Tatum not playing.
And
those are
like
the two main topics coming out of the game.
And they beat one of the primary contenders by 26 points and really pulled away in the second half. That was a good win for Team USA. And like Kevin Durant is freaking incredible right. And one of the greatest international players of all time. And a lot of times when you look at plus minus, especially on a single game like this, a lot of players who had a good plus minus. Oh, they played with Kevin Durant.
With Kevin Durant.
When Kevin Durant went 8 for 8 for 21 points in like an 8-minute stretch.
Meanwhile, Joel Embiid was not, right?
That being said, part of Joel's bad plus minus, he played really poorly to start that game. Really, really poorly. Out of rhythm. Sort of like the first game he played where it was like, all right, that's a square peg in a round hole. That's what he looked like to start that game. I do think his second stint was better. He was doing a good job of screening and creating space for Curry, even for LeBron off of cuts. He made some good passes, even if they didn't lead to assists. But those first 3 minutes are going to be etched in a lot of people's memory. And overall, he has not been great, certainly has not been consistent here in international play, in the tune-up games and the first game. Could he be benched? Well, certainly the fact that he only played 10 minutes suggests that Kerr is going to be really, he's going to make adjustments quickly. And if he feels that he is best served by bringing Embiid off the bench. That being said, I think if there's one adjustment to make early on, it's KD starting. Obviously, you understand that's really the first time playing, but I think KD in that starting lineup makes a lot of sense. And I think Embiid next to, KD, Steph, and LeBron makes more sense than Embiid off the bench, just in terms of how skill sets fit. So even if maybe some of the other options are playing better, I think that's probably a better lineup for Embiid. But yeah, I think anything's up in the air for sure.
I mean, I think the biggest tell is that when shit went left in the first 3 minutes, Steve Kerr didn't look at anybody else on that floor and say, you need to leave. It's, hey, big fella, get your ass to the bench and we're bringing in somebody else. That's where my head is at, is he's made those comments about he wants to keep LeBron, Steph, and Joel together. That's their grouping and whatnot. But when you see Anthony Davis closing games, when you see Anthony Davis being subbed in less than 3 minutes into a game, we're not stupid, right? We see what's happening. I think the thing that I was disappointed in with Joel yesterday, and this is true of the rest of the guys too, but frankly, a lot of these other guys are more accomplished than him and probably have earned the right to play this way a little bit. very casual to start that game. A lot of just like 50% effort on defense. They're just like some lollygagging around. The pass that him and Booker didn't connect on the inbounds was a play that I have probably seen him make 100 times for the Sixers. Like, he's barely looking as he throws it. And it wasn't that it was like the worst pass in the world, but it's just like, dude, it only takes like a half second of just focus to get the ball to your guy. And those little things add up in meaningful games, right? Like, these don't matter in the sense that, like, Joel makes an error on Team USA. They can bring in Kevin Durant off the bench and have him score 20 plus points in a first half and not miss a shot. And nobody's really going to remember all the Joel mistakes. But my hope for this experience for him was that he would come in, be engaged, be locked in, come out and like really play like he wants to prove something. And there have been moments like that. Like, I think in the second half, he definitely looked better. I thought that the overall connectiveness of the team was better after that. But it's just like, dude, I don't want to have to deal with bullshit because you're out there screwing around is really what it comes down to. When he is engaged, he had a nice block in the second half. He was setting some great screens. Again, getting Steph Curry wide open shots. He's not going to make all of them, but if you're constantly creating open threes for Steph Curry, more often than not, that's going to lead to good results for the team. And you see him doing some of the stuff that I think all of us are hoping for. And then you get that opening stretch, and it's like, Joel, come on, man. Like, just make it easy for us.
Will you not think about us, Joel? We have to talk about this the next
And then he missed those free throws, and you're like, come on, man, just knock those down.
Did he make a single free throw
yesterday? He was 0 for 3. He was 0 for 3, and the first two were very early.
Joel.
That's what he does. He makes those, right? So, and look, none of us are going to sit here and sugarcoat and say the guy, again, can't play basketball and that he didn't look good yesterday either. We know that. We witnessed it. We all watched it. We saw what we saw. But, yeah, in that second half, he was much more engaged. He got that flagrant foul that it was kind of weird because it's like, all right, he was trying.
That was a bullshit call.
Yeah.
He was trying to grab the guy, make sure he didn't fall after inadvertently hitting them. And then they called the other three down the other way where they called that a foul. Steph Curry had on the play right before that, same play. They didn't call that one on the missed three-point attempt. And it was just a little up in the air. But if Joel is also barking at the officials, he's not going to get those types of calls. But look, he has to be much, much better. And he had been before this particular game because
That's
saw
what
him
was so confusing.
Play so well when he had that, 16, 18-point game, whatever it was. He had 8 boards. He and LeBron really closed the game out strong until Davis came in to actually close the game out. But they did their part in separating. And he has not looked all that great. I agree with you both. I thought he screen set it really well. Steph Curry is getting some really good looks. Same thing for LeBron James. Derek, you mentioned that in the open, that he's getting some really good looks also. And I was talking to Vince, and we were talking about the slip screen, him looking for the ball versus simply setting it, allowing those two guys to come off and get good looks. Those guys are getting wide open looks at whatever shot they want. They're getting wide open looks because he's setting some real NBA screens, and he's not looking for the ball
screens
as much.
That a lot of times he doesn't set in the NBA.
Exactly,
I'd love to see him set those
so he's doing that, and hopefully that does translate to the NBA when he gets back here out of Philadelphia. But he just simply has to be better. And as far as him coming off the bench, people have been asking for this again since the first exhibition game against Canada, and he has played so much better. So let's see what he does against South Sudan again. They play them on Wednesday afternoon. See what they do, what he does against them. Because right now, if he's going to start, Steve Kerr already showed us that he'll pull him very quickly if things are not going well. That was a quick hook, man. Yeah, at 3 minutes, he was out of that game. And I don't know if I didn't think he looked all that gas. He just didn't play well, and they were down 10-2. So he had to make a decision and make a substitution, and that's what he did. But he has to knock down the shots. He missed that early jumper that he always makes. He came back and made it later. He has to make his free throws. He has to be engaged on the defensive end. I thought he closed out okay on those 3-pointers that we know he can get caught on in international play. But for the most part, he just simply has to be so much better than he was on Sunday in that opening game. And as you said, Derek, they blow out a team, but this is the one that's dominating the conversation because I guess we have to have something to talk about.
Yeah, and I think Joe's just such a polarizing player that there are a lot of people hanging on his every failure. And every time he trips up, it's going to happen. It's part of covering a troll for as long as we have.
He has definitely reached it's certainly not as bad as it was for LeBron, because LeBron was just a bigger name than has been, always will be. But has definitely reached that point where it's like, until he wins, anything he does wrong is magnified by at least 5 to 10 times. Like he basically can't have a bad game. He's not allowed to have a mistake that's classic Joel Embiid. Like yesterday, people were tweeting stuff. And the funniest part was when Celtics fans were like, oh, this is a classic Embiid game. And the obvious retort is, hey, it's a classic Jason Tatum game. He didn't play and didn't matter, and his team still won by 20-plus points. So if you want to go down that road, we can go down that road. But that's kind of where he is, right? People want to see him put up or shut up in games that actually matter. And we can debate how important game one in pool play of the Olympics is or are, but these games are like the whole basketball world is watching right now. The Olympics are a massive, massive event with a lot of attention. As you mentioned at the top of the show, Devon, he's getting booed every time he touches the ball by all the French people because they're still upset that he didn't come play for Team France, and Team France looked pretty good themselves over the weekend. So he's dealing with a different level of pressure, just like on the ground in France, than a lot of these guys, because he turned an entire country against them, plus whoever the other team's fans are that are showing up for these games. So it's going to be like this for a while. Like, I don't
give your passport back, man.
I know that Daryl and Paul George and a lot of these guys have been asked about it and have talked about it. I'm not sure they're really prepared for what this year is going to be like, where there's always attention on Joel Embiid, and there's been attention on the Sixers for a while. But now people are like, oh, they had the best offseason out of any team in the league. And Joel's 30 and is on Team USA and has won an MVP. It's like, okay, man, all this stuff is great. Tyrese Maxey, all-star, just got his max contract. If the results don't come now, if you thought the blowback was bad before, it is going to get a lot worse.
And even if they win, as you just laid all that out, even if they win, he's not going to get any credit for it. He's going to say now he rode the coattails of Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Steph Curry. He had nothing 100%. To do with it. The one
he would
video
need to have like a big-time game in the gold medal game for any of this stuff to go away.
And the video that everybody was pushing around, the one that somebody was like helping carry a dresser, and he was, you guys carrying the show, and I'm just sitting here, just let me hold the mic like this, and I'm not doing anything. And that's
let me stay at home for 3 months.
Like that. Yeah, exactly like that.
Glad somebody brought it up.
And that's what they're now incorporating with him when it comes to this pool play here, this group play of them being out there. Like, he did stuff to help, of course, during that stretch when they came back. He didn't look all that great in the beginning. He has an opportunity now to rebound from all of that and come back out against South Sudan and have a much better game against them to kind of quiet this stuff down. But as we saw with that 18-point performance, whatever it was, and the win that they had last week, it's not going to matter probably until it's that gold medal game and he drops 20 and just dunks on somebody, dominates,
or doesn't play,
or doesn't play, and then they'll say again, look how they won without him even in the lineup. So he is polarizing. It's not going to stop, and this is just something that we're going to have to deal with for the next couple of weeks because it's going to be an ongoing thing. That's real hopeful of you that we're only going to deal with this for a couple of weeks. Hopeful of that one, that is just dealing with it for the next couple of weeks.
I will say 10 minutes per game. He gets some practice, gets some, August runs in that maybe he wouldn't otherwise get. And it's not so much to worry about injuries so much. So maybe it's, maybe it's the right combination.
That was part of the goal that we talked about. He's going to get some work in now that he normally does not get in, get some real game experience in. And once he does that, then, hey, maybe he'll keep himself in shape for the next couple of weeks before they get to training camp and not put in any of those pounds back on where he's ahead of the game instead of being behind it. I'm sorry.
Keep going.
No, so I do have a question for you guys, though, on the other side about this. If things do go south for him during this experience, and I'll ask that question when we get back here on the PHLY Sixers podcast on the Monday. people talking about benching Embiid. We have to discuss it, even though we don't want to. As Kyle said, come on, man. Can you just give us a little bit of help here and play a little bit better?
Help me help you, Joel, would be my...
That's what we're here for. Let's talk about it a little bit more on the other side here on the PHLY Sixers podcast.
Well, guys, from day-to-day annoyances to the big stuff, like having to deal with people in your Twitter mentions or in the PHLY Discord or anywhere else in your life arguing with you about Joel Embiid, who I have no control over. We all have to deal with our trials and tribulations in life. There's always a better way. There is a chiller way. When you choose chill, reach for an ice cold Coors Light. With Coors Light, you know you're getting an ice cold beer. When the mountains turn blue, on the bottles and cans when they hit that perfect temperature. An 11:15 a.m. Sunday Olympic game. Probably a little too early to be choosing chill and having an ice cold Coors Light. However, there's certainly moments throughout the weekend where this is part of my very busy season where I have some, let's call them some side hustles that I'm working on top of our wonderful work here at PHLY. You're trying to put some work in on yourself, put some work in on your home, all kinds of other stuff, and you get frustrated. There are days that they really stink, guys. But at the end of that day, you can step back, relax, choose chill, and then have a cold layered, cold filtered, cold packaged beer with a smooth finish. Get some mountain cold refreshment no matter where you are. So when you choose to rise above it all, choose chill, choose Coors Light. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door with Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/PHLY basketball. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. And guys, nothing goes better with an ice cold beer than chicken wings. And vice versa. Devon would probably agree, the man of no vices over here, but we did make a stop at a Buffalo Wild Wings. Our newest friend,
we didn't even know they were going to be a sponsor at that point.
We didn't even know. It was like a premonition. It was an oasis out in the desert. Like, man, I want some chicken wings. There's a Buffalo Wild Wings. Well, guys, come celebrate National Chicken Wing Day at Buffalo Wild Wings, where you can enjoy 6 free boneless or traditional wings with any $10 purchase. I will save my thoughts on what I think about boneless wings, but certainly traditional wings are where they're
discussion, man. I'm here for the discussion.
This offer for National Chicken Wing Day is valid in stores all day today, July 29th. We are currently offering limited time flavors at Buffalo Wild Wings of Buffalo Ranch and Luau Barbecue. Download the app and join the Blazin' Rewards program. Let's go to a sports bar. Check out Buffalo Wild Wings.
I never understood the boneless wings thing, because if it tastes good, who gives a shit what they call it?
Thank you.
That I agree with. They're not chicken wings.
I don't give a shit.
They're not nuggets either.
All I want is point to that on the menu, give it to me, I eat it, it tastes good. You can call it whatever the heck you want.
Okay, Derek, what do you drive?
A Volkswagen.
That's a nice truck you have, then. Words have meanings.
I don't care.
Great truck.
Don't care. Call it whatever you want.
It's totally different.
You're a big truck guy over there.
Totally different.
It's not different.
It is too different.
Words have meaning.
So when you order them, what do you say?
They're chicken nuggets.
I
don't order boneless wings.
Do you say
I
chicken
order
nuggets?
either chicken nuggets or wings.
So you say, let me get those chicken nuggets, and they're like, excuse me, I don't
said,
know.
let me get the thing that adults eat, which is real chicken wings.
Yeah, give me the boneless wings, and I'll call them that. No problem at all. We can have this discussion. It's always
Do you want
fun.
a coloring book with that?
I do color. I have fun with the coloring.
Maybe like a little action figure.
Outline it and all good.
I'll give you a sippy cup too.
Hey, I drink out of drink boxes.
Boneless wing flavored chicken tenders. Do they taste better or worse than bone-in wings?
I don't really eat chicken nuggets that often. I will eat wings. If I want wings,
you've had boneless wings, though. Yeah.
And they're not wings.
But
fundamentally, they are not wings. They're just not. Words have meaning. I love Buffalo Wild Wings. You call them whatever you want. You guys are.
So wings have bones in them?
Yes. What are you talking about?
No, I mean actual bird wings. You say they have bones in them.
Do we need to discuss the anatomy of a chicken right now?
Yes, let's discuss the anatomy of a chicken. Let's have some conversation to have some fun with it.
Oh my God!
It's a holiday. right? It's the summertime. It's the holiday for us.
It really is a.
You can get either one at Buffalo Wild Wings on National Chicken Wing Day.
Hey,
I just think it's an injustice.
Ghostface said yes. Let me go get a Capri Sun. Damn right. It's juice. It just happens to be in a pouch.
Again, I don't begrudge anyone.
I ordered the boneless wings when we stopped by Buffalo Wild Wings just to piss Kyle off.
I don't begrudge anyone who likes them and thinks they taste good. They aren't wings. That's all it is. It's that simple.
All right, we appreciate it.
That's a nice bucket hat you have on.
Hey,
Bob.
man, thank you. Got the brim going on. Keep the sun out of my face. All right, let's go to the question I had, Kyle. If Embiid does, let's just say he doesn't play all that well, right? And he doesn't play well throughout the rest of the tournament here, the Olympics, and they still win, but he gets a lot of heat for it. Do you think he is the type, knowing him as well as you do all the years that you've been around Joel Embiid, he talks about how much people don't like him. Sometimes he cares, sometimes he don't. I think he cares. But that being said, if he cares, and he cares so much, knowing what's for him upcoming with the regular season, all that Daryl Morey, Elton Brand in the front office did to put this team together, Paul George, everybody else, bad performance in the Olympics, does he take that and does he carry that into the regular season and want to, again, prove people wrong?
Maybe, but I will say this to you. I'm kind of past the point, and he should be past the point where it's like you need the outside motivation.
He may be past it, but knowing him like you do.
Maybe, but what I'm saying, so like that interview he did recently with, what was it, the New York Times, where he made a lot of claims that I think we all thought were not completely crazy, right? Like the people got mad about the GOAT thing and what, like could have been this without injuries, all that. I just want him to be, he clearly is driven to be great because of his own goals, right? And like he brings up his son a lot. Like once my son was born, kind of wanted to be that example for him. I just want to see Joe, like I want him to believe that none of this shit matters in terms of the criticism and the people from France throwing baguettes at him and all this other nonsense. It's like, go be great because you want to be great, because you truly believe in your heart of hearts, I could have been the best player, one of the best players ever with good health. Like, okay, maybe that's out of reach, but you still have, hopefully, the next 5 to 7 years to build an all-time type resume, right? He's got an MVP. He's been one of the best players in the game. And what should happen if he does take, to your point, Devon, if he does take criticism for this, if he's fallen down the pecking order to Anthony Davis, who frankly, he's kicked his ass throughout his career every time those guys play. If you fall down the pecking order to him, if Bam Adebayo is playing over you, if you're not on the floor for any reason, if you're someone who believes you're not just one of the best players now, but one of the best players ever, come into this season and kick all these guys' asses. Like that's the thing he should take away. Nothing is going to stop this except for your actions, your success, your triumphs. You need to be the best possible version of Joel Embiid for this team. I don't care if that's you only score 20 points, but you're playing defensive player of the year level defense. I don't care if it's 35 and you're carrying the team on offense and that's what it takes to get it done. The lesson here should be watching somebody like LeBron at 39 still willing himself to be this good, to be watching Kevin Durant come in off of no game time, played none of these scrimmages, has been dealing with an injury, comes in and fucking lights Serbia on fire in the first half. Chase those guys. Those are your guiding stars. Those are the guys that have done everything there is to do as a basketball player, as an athlete. Don't worry about the outside criticism. Chase greatness, because that's what's going to get you where you need to go.
What do you think?
Yeah, I don't think any criticism is going to motivate him too much one way or the other. I think he's faced all that. I think if there was a time to motivate him, that would have been earlier in his career. To Kyle's point, if he's going to reach that next level, it can't really come from outside pressure. It has to come from internally and from what he hasn't accomplished and the career he hasn't had and the goals he has set out for himself. I agree with that 100%. Will he come in the best shape possible and take all this? Who knows? I think we all sort of have skepticism on specifically the being in perfect shape part of it. But I think he's going to go, meet Drew Hanlon, put in the work in terms of skill development, and get ready for the season. And I don't think the criticism one way is going to impact it one way or the other.
I agree. And making a joke about the passport thing, when they were yelling at him going to the bus coming out of, I think it was the hotel going to the bus, and they were yelling, "Give back your passport." No, he smiled and turned around to them, smiled, and said and just basically let that speak for itself and go to practice, go to the game, whatever they were going. And I generally agree. I was curious, though, because he is one of those guys who is a troll, but he is a guy who pays attention to everything that is said out there about him. So I was just curious to find out what you guys thought about that, just because of the things in the past that he has done. He has grown. He's talked about his son. He has approached things differently, chasing the greatness. Part of the reason why he wanted to join this team in particular, because of that greatness that he is, again, chasing, learning from these other players, being prepared now for the start of the regular season for the Philadelphia 76ers. But look, speaking for us, just talking to you guys on camera, off camera, I didn't expect him to play this poorly, though. In the games, when he looks bad, he doesn't look good.
And we saw him ramping up slowly throughout those scrimmages. It was just like, okay, now like normal Joel will be here. And he went back to like that first scrimmage. What is he doing?
And is he letting the officials impact his mindset on the floor? Is he letting a missed shot dictate things? You can see his body language when he misses a free throw, because like you said, you do those, you make those as a big man. Why are you missing them? You're letting all that stuff just pile up. And if that just continues to compile and they win, but he doesn't play well, does that just simply affect his game when he gets out there on the floor? And let's see how he responds when he goes against South Sudan on Wednesday in that afternoon game and see what they did. They gave them a game the last time out. He played well in that particular game. Is that going to be the same thing this time around, playing against them and trying to ramp it up? There was the report that he and both Anthony Davis were ill before the first game, and there was a chance that both might not play. They wound up playing, but Anthony Davis looked a little bit better than him. He wasn't great, but he looked better than Joel did. But we're not going to use that as an excuse, because why? Anthony Davis did play pretty decently when he was out there on the floor. And the guy just has that bullseye on his back, and that's why he just has to go out there and just hoop and not let this stuff bother him and not let it get to him.
Yeah, and it is sort of, to your earlier point, I certainly think he will hear the criticism. I just don't think it's not going to motivate him to like do an extra wind sprint in the middle of August when this is all over. Like, that's just not, I don't think that's necessarily what motivates Joel. And I don't say that, like, I think some people think he doesn't work. No, clearly he works hard. You don't get
he's worked extremely hard to be who he
over
is.
The last 15 years to get to where he was without working hard. There are some things I'd like him to focus on a little more, like specifically his diet and getting in that kind of shape that I think we all want him to. But he certainly works hard. But I don't think this is going to change his approach one way or the other. That being said, like, he is a little bit, with a lot of these interviews he's given on Hanlon's podcast, that New York Times one that you referenced, he seems like he is embracing of the fact that he is a heel at this point. And I'm not sure he's fully comfortable with it, though. Like, I do think the criticism still gets to him a little bit. I think he, sort of eggs it on a little bit.
Because he asked the question. He doesn't understand why so many people dislike him.
And it is tough because, like, on the one hand, I want the athletes to speak what's on their mind. And we can all acknowledge that LeBron at 39 isn't the same as LeBron at 29. It's not quite as wise for your teammate to do that. That being said, I do want to hear what's on his mind. Like, I do agree with him that Jason Tatum has the luxury of going 5 for 20 and winning that, and Joel Embiid just doesn't have it. But those certainly add fuel to the fire for fans who don't like him, who don't appreciate him, who thinks he's making excuses. It's tough to find that balance between being truthful, being maybe a little bit of a troll. Although, quite honestly, I don't think all like these interviews were so much being a troll. I think it's just being truthful more than anything. But it's tough to find that balance of being truthful, being honest, and also not becoming more of a villain. And I don't know if he's found that balance yet.
Well, to that point, one thing I did like seeing yesterday was after that flagrant situation, when he gets the M1, got slapped down on that he shot through it, he came back barking like crazy, like getting in the guy's face. And there were some, let's say, some nasty comments about that on Twitter yesterday. And I was like, no, that's what I want to see is competitive Joel. I don't care if you're kicking their ass, if you're making highlight plays on these guys, let them know about it. Just don't back down or hide your hands when it happens. And like, I want to see that competitive side in Joel in the Olympics. I want to see that from all these guys, right? Like, I always say I'm not like Mr. Patriotism over here, but when it's Team USA in the Olympics, I hope they fucking curb stop these people. I hope they beat these teams by 50 points a game. I'll be running down the street with the flag on my back like a cape. That's my attitude during these games. So I hope that Joel helps these guys run it up. I hope he talks some trash while he's doing it. I hope that he shows some pride. The whole exercise of going over there is like, I'm proud that what I've become in this country. I want to show my son this. I want to be on this stage. Good. Give me more of that. Show that fire. Play some defense. Keep doing the little things, the screening, the rebounding, all that. The rest is going to take care of itself. I also do think, if we want to talk about what criticism is genuine and what is disingenuous, there are still people that are like, the whole offense slows down playing through Joel. It's like, I have not seen him as a ball stopper. Like, that's not been the problem. He's missed shots, and that's been a problem. He's had some bad moments and bad turnovers, certainly. But they're not giving him the ball at the nail and watching him jab step for 10 seconds. Like, that's one criticism I don't agree with at all. He is very much bought into, like, I'm basically the dribble handoff guy, right? Yep. They get the ball to him, and then he's looking for whether it's Booker, LeBron, Curry, whoever it might be. He's trying to play facilitator. He's trying to move the ball and not be that guy who's bogging down the offense. Steve Kerr does want him to get the ball in the post sometimes, but it is absolutely not the Joel show, and he's not carrying himself that way.
And guess what? When he's getting the ball in the post, they are double teaming him. Yes. They're sending that double team.
And that's the whole purpose of running those plays.
Yes, he's still Joel Embiid, and they have to double team. And in transition, when they run, they just leave him. They don't need him. They just leave him. They have 4 elite players on the floor with him at one time, where they can have that luxury of leaving him and letting them go up the floor and do what they need to do to get a fast break bucket and a fast break opportunity. So I agree with you. That whole slowing things down type of thing, just because they're running an actual half-court offense and he has to go on the low block or a dribble handoff and set a screen to get his teammates open as the big man, and that's typically what their jobs are, it's too much. And then the barking stuff, I've seen Kobe bark. I've seen him lay a forearm in his teammate's chest and Pau Gasol. No one said anything.
Part of the Redeem Team documentary about that was so good.
Carmelo Anthony, when he gets going, he's barking at the other. Dwayne Wade. I've seen it. We've seen it for so many years. Who cares if Joel Embiid is barking at a guy who acted and seemed like he was, what somebody even said, he was playing, Dwayne Wade said it, stop playing soccer out here and acting when he fell to
the that flagrant was a joke.
So it was like, come on, man. But it's Joel. So, and if he's going to continue to bark at the officials, those types of things are going to happen too. And he already has a reputation with the fan base. So it's part of the game when it comes to him. We have some super chats. We do have to talk about, his name is Kevin Durant. You know his name. He was phenomenal. We'll talk about him also on the other side.
Talk about Dwayne Wade having 2 catchphrases for 40 straight minutes.
So we're going to get to that too, because we have thoughts, and we'll do that when we get back here on the PHLY Sixers podcast.
First off, we want to tell you about Indeed. If you were looking for a new starting center, now we don't think they need a new starting center yet, but if they did,
that's a pretty good resume.
Indeed would be the place to go. We're driven by the search for better, but when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match. Match with Indeed. If you need to hire, you need Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. Indeed doesn't just help you hire faster. 93% of employers agree Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites, according to a recent Indeed survey. Leveraging over 140 million qualifications and preferences every day, Indeed's matching engine is constantly learning from your preferences, so the more you use Indeed, the better it gets. Join more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. And listeners of this show will get $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/AllCity. Just go to Indeed.com/AllCity right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/AllCity. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
And after a 26-point win in Olympic play, you would think so many people would feel good think they just go outside and chill, put their shades on and just relax, having a good time. But no, you have to complain about a basketball player having 4 points in the blowout win. But that is the case. And you would ask people, hey, you know what? Just relax, go outside, get some sun, maybe sit on your back porch and you're outside in the sun, put your shades on because it is that season. We're in the full swing of summer season. And with that, we have our great partners with Shady Rays who have quality shades and are built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered with premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. I had a family event this weekend on Saturday, and then we were right smack dab in the middle of the sun. Said, oh no, go back to the car, get the Shady Rays, and I put those on. They're an independent sunglasses company offering a world-class product rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people, and their shades have durable frames and crystal clear optics, making them the perfect choice from all the outdoor activities and adventures that you have. Even being at this event, have some little people that are around and they just want to grab your shades when they're on your face. The durability does come into play, and they are most certainly a factor in your favor. They have many, many styles, maybe even a style for your favorite team's color as well. So if your shades go missing or take an unexpected hit, they have your back. Don't sweat it. They have the most insane protection of all eyewear. Every pair is backed by lost or broken replacements. If you don't love your shades, you can exchange them for a new pair or return worry-free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. Their team always has your back with personal and fast support. Exclusively for our listeners here on the PHLY Sixers Show, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com and use code PHLY. That's for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people.
And if you wear those shades, you can sit on the outside deck at a Buffalo Wild Wings and have some nice wings on National Chicken Wing Day. Wash them down with a Coors Light. Just all that sponsor synergy right there.
Or glorified chicken nuggets, whatever your preference is.
Yeah, I was going to stay away from it, but you went to it.
You went back there. You had to poke the bear.
We can definitely have at it. But again, go check out those Shady Rays. Still plenty of summer left. Maybe you're getting ready to travel and you need some shades. Go check out our friends from Shady Rays and get yourself a pair. Let's squeeze in a few super chats here before we get to, his name, KD, and the work that he put in the win on Sunday. Let's start off with Jake and saying, I don't think he was good yesterday, but people have to realize even when you blow out teams and all of that, you aren't going to start the game winning by 20, which is a part of why he is a plus minus in the negative there. And that's misleading, Derek. They were down 10-2 very fast. He was out there on the floor. Then he came out of the game.
So, I'm very big on single game plus minus means nothing. And the example I used earlier, if you're on the court with Kevin Durant, you probably have a very good plus minus. Doesn't mean you played all that great. He was bad to start the game. So was that all on him? No, but he was a part of why they were outscored 10-2 early on. I do think that I don't think that was just being on the floor at the wrong time. I think he was part of the reason that they were struggling.
I also think it's probably a better point to make for the other side of it, which is that some of these guys who had massive pluses had the massive pluses because Kevin Durant went absolutely supernova. So I understand. I mostly agree with what Jake is saying. But yeah, I think it's two different things, right? Single game plus minus is not that important, but Joel was also bad. That. It is what it is.
Yep. Appreciate it, Jake. As always, checking in with the donation and the super chat. Always appreciate it. And we also have Shahid. Shahid is in here. And Shahid says Shahid actually has 2. So we have to check out what Shahid had to say and see what he's talking about. But Shahid says, should Joel Embiid be traded to start the Olympic rebuild? Or does it not matter since we have Kevin Durant?
Vince
spoiled Americans, LOL.
I feel like if we're talking about trading Embiid, we have to bring Vince into the show.
He's very clearly messing around there. But yeah, what a luxury it is to have Kevin Durant as your 6th man, essentially. Or if Kevin Durant is eventually boosted to the starting lineup, then it becomes, oh, wow, you have to go to Anthony Edwards off the bench or whoever, Anthony Davis or Bam Adebayo. Or look, Jason Tatum just won a title, and they're like,
Kevin Durant
surplus to requirements. Tyrese Halliburton, you just went to a conference finals for the first time ever. Wave some towels, buddy. Go make sure everybody's Gatorade cups are filled. That's how good this team is. It's crazy.
Yep. Yep. So a luxury there for sure. Let's not worry about it. They're pretty damn good. We talked about it. We said we thought they should still win the gold. Talent is caught up, certainly, with the other countries, but they should still win the gold medal. Brian Pumper, our good buddy Brian, checking in here in the super chat as well. Joel needs to just embrace being the villain. He opened his mouth, so he better back it up. He needs to stop playing victim, be Troel, and stop whining.
I think this gets at the point Derek was making earlier, where sometimes you have a certain persona, or there's a part of you that's like, yeah, I want to troll, I want to do this. But you do have to be prepared for the blowback, and I'm not sure you always can be when you're at the level of fame and stature that Joel is at, because there are times he'll make comments that are just very offhand things.
For example, you might make a comment about some Denver people, and they didn't realize they're going to be listening to the show. It happens.
First of all, I'm not claiming anywhere close to Joel Embiid's stature. The point is that he doesn't always seem like he knows what he's getting himself into. And to Brian's point, I don't think he has as thick a skin as maybe he lets on, right? Like, he likes to put on the tough facade, as we all do, to try to make the critics, the doubters, feel like they're not getting to you. But I don't know. I can't psychoanalyze Joel. I'm not a trained professional.
That's why I said to you guys earlier, just knowing him a little bit. Yeah, he may not let it affect him as much and say it out loud, but yeah, it probably digs at him a little bit. And I mean, who doesn't? And you see all these good ones. The one that always stands out is that one that says that negative thing, and it's not one for him. It's like 100 when it comes to that 5,000 to 1,000. That 100 stands out to him of how poor he knows he didn't play well. Of course, he wants to make that shot and make those free throws, get that block, grab that rebound. But he also feels like, hey, did you see when Steph Curry made that three-pointer and I set that bone-crushing screen to that guard coming off of that curl? Yeah, I did that too.
I would love for him to set screens like that on a regular basis.
Yeah,
for the
Max
Sixers,
has got to be watching that and be like, dude, come on.
Like,
no doubt.
Joel, run that tape back a couple more times for me, buddy.
The screens I used to like a lot when he made it, even when James Harden was here, but it was for Tyrese Maxey. He would set the screen, but it was the dribble handoff, but not the handoff. He would bounce it and let Tyrese just run and catch up to it. And that would set him up perfectly.
You should do that with Ben, too, because Ben, when he would get that momentum coming to the rim, was very hard to stand
and I think he puts more into that one than the actual dribble handoff. And we're seeing it differently now, so hopefully that does translate. One more from Shahid, where Shahid says, we get mad at Embiid being human, Hurts for being robotic, and Harper for pandering. It sounds like it doesn't matter unless they win a title.
That goes exactly to Kyle's point earlier. Like, the only way to shut people up is to win.
Yes.
It's the only way.
And frankly, I don't care about Hurts being robotic. I care about whether Hurts is playing well enough. Yeah. Same thing would go for Bryce Harper. Same thing would go for Joel. Like, it's good for, broadly speaking, as Derek was kind of getting at earlier. Derek would love to have Joel's bank account, I'm yes. sure. As Derek was getting at earlier, I just completely lost my train of thought. Where was I going?
We were talking about the pandering and Harper, Hurts, and not caring about how Hurts goes into what he does.
You're gonna have to. I completely.
I'll just say this about the Hurts part, because when I would talk more about the Eagles, even going on the PHLY Eagles show with Bo and Zach, sometimes it's, when they're winning to none of that stuff matters. When Hurts was doing the same thing that he always does, and then at the Super Bowl, nobody cares. And one of the points that I would make it's like, all right, that stuff is boring. Nobody wants to continue to hear the main thing is the main thing all the time. When you start to lose a game,
I was going to say now.
When you start to lose a game, the main thing is now, all right, I'm sick of it. I don't want to hear that stuff anymore. But if he wins that title again, nobody's going to care about the main thing. You know what they're going to do? They're going to make a T-shirt saying the main thing is the main thing because he won a Super Bowl.
Of course. People will reverse engineer anything out of success that they want. No, what Derek was saying earlier is that it's obviously good for us that Joel is outspoken and will have these very human moments. And like, it makes it easier to cover him in a lot of ways, where some of these stars around the league, like if you're covering Kawhi, right, you're never going to get these like human introspective thoughts from him, because he just He doesn't want to play the media game. He just cares about showing up, playing basketball, being the best he can. And that's fine, right? Like, that's not a negative. That's just who he is. But, like, I don't actually care about that stuff. I certainly don't care about that stuff as much as I care about what are we seeing on the floor? What is Joel doing on a night-to-night basis? I care about that stuff much more than, oh, Joel said this funny thing at a press conference, right? Like, I'm there to watch basketball. I'm there to see the growth of Joel and Tyrese as a partnership. I'm there to see how Joel and Paul and Tyrese become this 3-man, 3-star group and how those rotations shake out. And, like, that's the stuff that matters, right? At the end of the day, we can have fun with, oh, Joel said this, Joel did that, Joel did this interview. But if they win a title, Joel could be he could be a monk and take a vow of silence from now until June. People would be thrilled with him. Like, the stuff you hear at press conferences is fodder for conversation, and it's stuff that we'll go back and forth on for months and months and months. It'll help us kill a lot of time during the season. Winning cures everything. And that's why people will put up with sometimes, like, malignant people and personalities, people whose worldviews they don't agree with or like at all, because it's a bottom line business, right? They just want to see, hey, my team that I support, they went as far as they can possibly go and won a championship. Like, Nick Foles was divisive before they won a Super Bowl, right? Like, he had the 27 touchdown, 2 interception year. Mm-hmm. And I was on the opposite side of the, like, build around Nick Foles, blah, blah, blah. And that was like a big flashpoint at that time. Years pass, he comes back as the backup, has this great run, and now he's basically a Philadelphia Hall of Famer. It's all it takes is one run. Nobody cares about anything else except for winning. You can try to convince yourself otherwise, but at the end of the day, that's all that matters.
And Absolutely. I think the way you phrased it, reverse engineering winning, is 100% true. Like, if he wins a title, all of these personality quirks that people now are nitpicking on and saying, this is the reason he can't get over hump, this is the reason he's a loser, they will look back and say, this is the reason he got to where he was, this is why they won, yada, yada, yada. It goes with teams, like you saw with the Celtics. For up until they won a title, they took too many threes and they choked in big moments and yada. And now they're a team of destiny, and how the hell are you going to compete with them? Until you actually win, people will take all of your flaws and use that as proof and reason why you cannot get to the promised land until you do, in which case people will be like, well, I always knew Joel Embiid was great. What are you talking about? Like, we're all frauds.
Our buddy Marshall Lynch says Hurts leads with cliches. That he does. And our other friend, Mr. Sandman, says Hurts is a robot. He's a Tesla robot quarterback. So there's that.
But again, like, do I gravitate to Jalen Hurts' outward personality? No. But end of the day, I'm in it to watch the Eagles play football. And is he making great plays? Is he leading the team on game-winning drives? That's really all that. Nobody will care that Jalen Hurts is a cliche machine if they won the damn Super Bowl.
When you now just compared yourself to Jalen Hurts, I just thought if Kyle Neubeck...
I didn't compare... How did I compare myself to Jalen Hurts?
Is that how you would, like, contort yourself? Like, is that do you gravitate towards that?
No. I'm much more toward the, like, Joel school of just being point is, like,
if you gave Kyle Neubeck, like, hundreds of millions of dollars and made him the face of a franchise, like, I would like to see those.
I would certainly not be Jalen Hurts.
That's what I'm saying. I'd like to see those press conferences.
I don't think
I wouldn't be Bryce Harper either. I don't know. I don't know that there's a good
Tyrese Maxey.
I would probably be Jalen.
I'm not nice enough to be Tyrese.
I think
Maxey.
I would be Maxey.
Yeah, no, you are.
Yeah, you could be.
Yeah,
I would be more in the Barkley.
I mean, let's be honest. I'd be Kawhi.
Well, that's probably true.
Yeah,
I think I'd be in the Charles Barkley doesn't know when to shut the hell up as a player. No, that's not a dig at Charles. I love Charles.
AJ Brown. AJ Brown.
Yeah, if we're going locally, that's probably.
He says things when he's.
That reminds me of. There's a great tweet that's like, this is how NFL players tweet, and quarterbacks, it's like cliche. Tight end, it's just derp. And then wide receiver is like the enemy treads softly and walks with a knife or something like that. Wide receivers are so different.
Quarterbacks too, man.
Wide receivers are just a completely different
their own
breed
category,
of person. I don't know what happened that I guess because it makes sense if you think about it as they're probably the closest analog we have to an individual athlete in a team sport where it's all you're just trying to beat one-on-one coverage, right? It's like being a boxer where it's you and the guy in front of you, and you got to try to beat that guy over and over and over and over again. And that's why it turns into, why didn't you throw me the damn ball? I was open. Why are you throwing to that guy?
Keyshawn had a book called "Throw Me the Damn Ball." Keyshawn Johnson. Yeah, I mean, and that's why on the other side,
you have to be wired that way to play that position. Though
but look at the other side with the corners. They're just a level below, but they're like, no, I got to stop that dude, and I did. And I'm going to tell you about it because you talk about it at that level, and I'm going to tell you about it at a level just below because that's exactly what we did. We mentioned Mr. Sandman.
Hold on. Somebody said I'm Kurt Schilling. First of all, fuck Kurt Schilling. That guy's a douchebag.
I saw it and was going to move past it. But
I will not take that insult.
Complete opposite side, buddy.
Let's go to our buddy Mr. Sandman from Friday. He got in just under the gun, but we couldn't share it on the air. A Friday super chat, Mr. Sandman. We appreciate it. We highlight it. See, we're family. We don't leave you hanging. We got you covered. From Friday's show, Mr. Sandman sent a super chat.
Don't drop super chats at 59 minutes into the show, please.
Right.
But we can do it tomorrow.
We can always get to it later.
I'm just saying, Bree's not always going to be perfect. She's human too.
All right.
So let's read it. If the 76ers, Derek, play the Bucks in the playoffs, who guards Giannis? Is that player currently on the team?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it almost has to be Paul, right? Mm-hmm. He's the only one physically who has a chance. I guess
we're just skipping over Joel. He's done it plenty.
Not for the whole game.
Not the whole game, yeah.
He will be on him at times.
He will have to spend, I would say, 10 to 15 minutes minimum guarding him.
Sure, but that's not what I think when I think of primary. And even 4 years ago, and 3 or 4 lower body injuries ago, Joel wasn't doing that all game. It was just for stretches, and I like that. I think that's a good tactic. I just don't think it's going to be a 45-minute per game kind of thing. I think if because NBA.com breaks down where they'll tell you how many possessions each player defended. I would guess Paul George would be the top-ranked defender.
And get a little help, shade over to him.
Oh, I think they'll switch a lot for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Also,
Dembona, come on down.
6 fouls, man. Send him to the free throw line. He won't make them unless you're in the playoffs. Spiral Out did say, again, Kyle, following that one. I said I was kidding. So he said he was kidding about the Kurt Schilling.
I would hope so. You do not give
you don't know me very well.
So he wanted to let you know that he was just kidding. All right, the star of the game, though, in the Serbia USA win was not Joel Embiid, but it was Kevin Durant. He played 16 minutes and 44 seconds. Seemed like he played 36 minutes and 44 seconds because he couldn't miss every shot he took. He made 8 for 9. He missed the one in the second half, which was an easy shot, too, along the baseline fadeaway. He missed it. 3 for 4 from 3. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, that was the one he missed. 3 for 4 from 3, 5 for 5. No, sorry. 3 for 4 from that fadeaway. That was the one. A lot of numbers
being thrown at
me.
The
5 for 5 from 3 made his 2 free throws, and he finished with overall in the point total. He was fantastic with 23. He was phenomenal in the game. Coming off the bench, what a luxury, as you said.
You know who I am, as he has said before. Yeah, I mean, it just shows. I would say I'm not a Kevin Durant hater, but I discount those Golden State titles more than
we would
a lot of
discuss that
people.
in the summer at some point. We'll get there.
But in terms of pure basketball talent and when it's going, how fun it is to watch, he's up there with anybody I've ever seen. Just like when you're that tall and the jumper is so pretty and effortless and you can go on a run where you make, 8 straight shots to start the game? Like, he's a freak. Like, haven't really seen, because I remember when he came out, right, there were the comparisons to somebody like a George Gervin. George Gervin isn't stepping out and hitting pull up 30-foot threes, right? Like, that shows how the game has evolved, but he's one of the faces of like how much basketball has changed from even since he came into the league until now, right? Mm-hmm. Like, he represented just by himself a pretty big change in what stars looked like. So
yeah,
it's great to see him still playing at this level. And right now he's just padding his all-time U.S. men's Olympic scoring record, right? He's the all-time leading scorer in history. He's just putting distance between him and Carmelo as we speak.
And you mentioned earlier, probably needs to start.
Yeah, I would think he will eventually.
If he wasn't injured when this whole thing got underway, he was starting.
Yep.
That was clear. It was probably going to be Holiday and Curry in the backcourt, and then you put LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Joel Embiid out there in that starting five. He's Kevin Durant, damn it, and we know that, and he's just a phenomenal
really
basketball player. He's
good at basketball.
pretty good.
Really good.
We'll talk about the Golden State legacy thing a little bit later at another time because it's always fun. Kyle and I previewed this during the season that we're going to talk about this because I'm on the other side of Kyle. Shahid with a super chat.
Which is funny because I feel like you should hate Kevin Durant. You have actual reason to hate Kevin Durant.
Well, that was later though.
Yeah,
that was after.
But even still, like a lot of people would, bring their takes back.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you should. Yeah, we like Phoenix. All right. Shahid says way before 59. It only takes a week for perspective to change. Look at Joel Embiid after he cried getting the MVP trophy. Hell, look at that game. I mean, he got it in, what was that, game 6? Game 5? Game 6? And
against Boston.
Yeah. And people were on his tail after they lost. And then look at the Harper after they got to the World Series and lost the game. But he was phenomenal in the World Series. It wasn't his fault.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, you won't shed that label until you win.
Until you win.
That's the way it is.
Yeah. All right. Shahid, we appreciate it.
I don't think anything really changed for Joel after the MVP trophy.
Game 6. They got on him for losing the game.
The Harper one's a much better example, right? Because even last year when they completely choked as a team and lost to a team they should have beaten, everyone was like, whatever. They got to the World Series the year before. Let's see what happens in the playoffs this year. They're sputtering a little bit right now. If they go out early, I'm curious how much people like the pandering we were referring to earlier.
Yeah. But if he does his job, does he take?
That's right. It could go either way. If he gets the job done, then he's cemented forever.
In that World Series run that they had, he was phenomenal.
Lights out. Yeah,
he was phenomenal.
I feel like this is too late, but do you think they did enough with Hayes and Estevez? Was that enough for you?
Yes.
Okay.
But I'm curious.
Yeah.
I think they might do.
The reason I asked about that one.
I wonder if they get another bullpen arm tomorrow with the trade deadline. Don't forget trade deadline show tomorrow 5 to 7 with the PHLY Phillies crew at the Billy Murphy's Irish Saloon. Mm-hmm. That's 5 to 7 so far already. Derek just laid it out. They've done 2 things so far. Will they do one more before the trade deadline? All right, let's get to our roll call here as we say goodbye.
Shout out to Carlos Estevez
on a Monday. Yeah, right. Estevez and Mays. Make sure we get those guys in there on the roll call.
First person on the roll call today is Darkness.
Whoa!
Who asked if anybody at PHLY owns pants. Brother, it is.
I'm always wearing pants.
90 degrees out.
But it's cold in here, boy.
Relax.
Although the temperature has gone down since we've been.
You guys love making comments about my damn calves, and now you're coming at me for wearing shorts.
You
Come
and
on,
Derek
brother.
have the same color pants on.
Come on, brother.
Yes.
Look, anyway, thank you to everyone who's here today. Martian Lynch, just a guy. Spiral Out, who I forgive for his blasphemous comparison
what
earlier.
Up, Spiral?
Bootzilla.
Boots.
Jess.
Hey, Jess.
Hey, Aaron.
Jess
Money
likes
Mar.
the hats that we have on today.
Garbanzo. Slade. Well, Jess, speaking of my hat that I have on today, going to see Liverpool play on Wednesday at the Lynx. So if anybody's down there and happens to see me, say hello. Maybe we'll have a Coors Light together. You never know. Shout out to my girl, Winona Ford.
What up, Nona?
Brian Pumper. Igavini.
Gavini, what up? Winona said the women's team is winning right now, so they're kicking tail.
That's crazy in the chat today. Eugene Ross.
What up, Gene?
Provolone John in the building. I shouldn't say as always, as usual. Mr. Sandman, glad we got to your super chat today.
Always. What up, Mr. Sandman?
After missing it the other day. Bree, who are our other super chatters? We had Shahid several times, so shout out to Shahid. And thank you to Jake M for coming through. Thank you to Brian Knight, SB Cole, and everybody else here today. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell icon so you get notifications each and every time we go live.
We like it.
Hit that thumbs up button.
Like it.
Maybe someone will wear pants on set tomorrow. Goodbye.
Maybe. See ya.
We all silly like the mayor.